Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Kenny, one of the counselors at Heartland High School. I'll be going over today how to go through the scheduling process for 10th grade. So this video is intended for current 9th graders who are going through the procedure of selecting their 10th grade courses. I'm going to jump right in by sharing my screen, and we'll start at the Heartland High School homepage. So this is heartlandhighschool.us, and if you click counseling up here, you'll get to the counseling website, which has a lot of information that you'll need, scheduling and otherwise. But on the left-hand side, I'm going to click the scheduling tab, which takes us to information that you might want to refer back to. And you are receiving copies of these if you're face-to-face. If you are remote, they should be posted for you. But you can always access them here on the website. So I'm going to start by clicking on the 10th grade course selection sheet. So we have this on the website. The one that you're looking at in front of you is color-coded green. It also has your name in the top right, and underneath of your name is your Student Connect password. It's really important that you hang on to this piece of paper tight and that you don't lose it, since it has your name and password on it. We put your password for reference for you so that when you're ready to enter your course selections into Student Connect, it's right there for you if you're not familiar with what it is. What I will start by doing is going through how to fill out your course sheet. And if you have it in front of you, as long as you're staying focused and like with me and not working ahead, you should be able to fill it out roughly as we go along. And we'll get through the core stuff, and then on your own time, you'll be able to make some other decisions and select your electives. So first of all is English, and just to review graduation requirements, you need 4 years of English while you're in high school, and you have 2 options for 10th grade, regular English 10 and honors English 10. If you're not interested in the honors route, then you will simply circle English 10 A and B, which is semester 1 and semester 2. And over in the credit column, it's also helpful to circle the credit value. So you would circle 0.5, 0.5, English 10A, English 10B. You would be done with your English selections. If you're interested in Honors English 10, you must notice that there is a T right here, which means teacher signature. Over here, you'll notice that we leave room for you to get teacher signatures in the right-hand column. Additionally, if you're interested in Honors English 10, that is a block class, which means it's taught with Honors American History. They're a package deal, so you can't have one without the other. And for each of those, you need teacher signatures. So I'll go through your options for English and Social Studies once I get through Social Studies too. But just know if you want to do regular English, you'll circle that right off the bat. If you're interested in Honors English, let's move on to Social Studies. So in Social Studies, you have 3 credits required for graduation purposes. You do Global Studies, American History, and 11th grade, you'll do Government and Econ. So for 10th grade Social Studies, you have 3 options: regular American History, Honors American History, which is a block class with Honors English 10, or AP US History. Notice the honors class requires a teacher signature, and the AP US History does require an application. That's the A after the course title. So regardless of which option you choose, that's 1 credit of Social Studies, which is what you need for 10th grade. So look at it this way. You have a couple of options: regular English 10 with regular American History, regular English 10 with AP US History, honors English 10 with honors American History. So think that over and which option you want to pursue, and if you need teacher signatures or applications, you have the next week or so to complete those steps. Next up, we have science. You need 3 years of science as well for graduation purposes. So most of you will likely be circling Earth Science, A and B, 0.5, 0.5. If you're thinking about doubling up on science in 10th grade, that's really a wise choice if you love science and you hope to access a whole lot of the science curriculum offered at Heartland High School. If you have your eyes set on the AP classes, AP Physics, AP Chemistry, AP Bio, then it might be in your best interest to double up on science in 10th grade. If that's you, you'll be doing Earth Science with Honors Chemistry A and Honors Chemistry B. Doubling up on science in 10th grade doesn't help you or serve the right purpose unless it's honors chemistry. That's sort of the gateway science into a lot of those AP classes. And so taking regular chemistry in 10th grade while you're also taking earth science doesn't really accomplish anything. We don't double up on science in 10th grade to finish the requirement early. We double up on science in 10th grade to leave yourself more time to get to the other science classes in 11th and 12th grade. If this is confusing you or you feel like you have a unique situation, I recommend talking to your science teacher and to your counselor about what you're thinking about doing. Some of you might have alarms going off right now. You're thinking, well, I want to test out of earth science so that I don't have to take that class next year. That is a whole separate process that I will review at the end about how to sign up for test out, whether that's earth science or some other class. There is a system for that. So that's the science section. Make sure you're noting any teacher signatures or applications that you might need. Moving on to math. This is a discussion that you'll have with your current math teacher. We do 4 years of math for graduation purposes. The sequence is Algebra 1, Honors Geometry or Regular Geometry, and then Regular Algebra 2 or Honors Algebra 2 Trig. Depending on the class that you're in right now, you're moving on to the next sequence. Whether that's regular or honors is something you need to decide with your teacher and with your family. So you will circle the next class that is likely geometry of some form, potentially Algebra 2, and then you'll circle the credit value here in the column on the left. Get any teacher signatures if you need them. Now, before I jump forward into world languages and electives, I want to pop back up here. Point number 3 points out the curriculum guide, and it's really important that you get familiar with the curriculum guide and comfortable referring to it for a few reasons. So this is on the counseling website. Above scheduling, you're going to see Heartland High School Curriculum Guide. When you click this, it'll open up the document. It's 80 some odd pages long, so it can be sort of rough to navigate, but just know if you're looking at this electronically, you can do Control F. It'll pull up your find feature. Let's say you're curious about a science class. I can type in the name and it will take me closer. So I can pop down. This is the grid that we have at the beginning of each department. It will list each of the classes, the course number on the left, the course title, the credit value, the grade level that is allowed to take that class, and then we've got the prerequisite column. If you are looking at the back of your course sheet and you see a class with a P next to it, that means that it has a prerequisite. But if you're not sure what that prerequisite is, you need to refer back to the curriculum guide. So I'm looking at honors chemistry. I see the prerequisite is biology and advanced geometry or algebra 2. This one's a little bit trickier because you can have your math concurrent with this class. For a lot of prerequisites, you have to have completed a class and then you can move on. This is saying you have to have biology done. You can be taking advanced geometry or algebra 2 at the same time as taking honors chemistry, rather than having it done already. So that's an important column. If you see the P and you're not sure if you've met the prerequisite, this is where you come. Additionally, the curriculum guide has a course description for every single class. I'm going to touch base on this more and how important it is when I talk about picking electives and alternates, but it's vital that you read course descriptions so that you know what it is that you're picking. I'm going to come back to the 10th grade course sheet. All right. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to jump into world languages now. You need 2 years of the same language to graduate. The 4 languages that we have are French, German, Spanish, and American Sign Language. The requirement is 2 years of the same language, okay? So you can't bounce back and forth. You're welcome to start a new language next year. If you've already gotten some done of another language, just know that it kind of like starts the clock over. You have to do 1 and 2. This question comes up every year, so listen closely. If you took ASL 1, German 1, or Spanish 1 in 8th grade, that counts as one of your 2 years for graduation purposes. Now that's different than what some colleges and universities like to see, but it's important to note the distinction between graduation requirements and what some admissions offices like to see. So if you took Spanish 1 in 8th grade, you're in Spanish 2 now, and you're on the fence about moving on to Spanish 3 or Spanish 3 honors, that's a difficult decision to make if you think you might be applying to some competitive colleges that prefer to see 2 years done in high school or prefer to see you taking advantage of that curriculum offered to you. A lot of these schools like to see, well, you had Spanish 3 available to you, for example, why didn't you take it? And maybe it's for good reason. Maybe it's because you are accessing honors and advanced curriculum in another department area, but they don't want to see you taking out like a core academic class and replacing it with something that's not core academic, you know, unless it really relates to what you see yourself doing after high school. All of that being said, we don't advise students moving on to a 3rd year of a language simply because they think they might apply to a college down the road and it might help them, because the 3rd year of all the languages is rigorous. And I believe that you might be better off in a class that you are interested in and enjoy and can get a really excellent grade in, versus taking the 3rd year of a language, kind of struggling through it and not enjoying yourself. And then who knows if your grade is going to reflect a great performance. And so this can be a difficult decision. If you're in that boat, definitely talk to your counselor if you have questions about that. But just know that 2 years of a language, whether that's in 8th and 9th grade or 9th and 10th grade, is what you need to graduate. Some of you might be finished with your world language requirement at the end of 9th grade. Others of you haven't started yet, and we do recommend starting that in 10th grade. So if that's you, then take a look at French, German, American Sign Language, and Spanish, and decide which one you'd like to start next year. Some of you might be in year 1 right now and moving on to year 2. Now, if you're looking at taking an honors route, that's a discussion to have with your current teacher. Okay. Moving on to electives. So far we have gone through the 4 core plus world language, and you've circled credit values in the left-hand side. Down here, you'll notice we have an area for you to add this up, and it needs to equal 7 credits. You take 3.5 credits each semester, and so that totals 7. So it's important that you're rounding out your electives to get you to 7. You likely have 5 so far: English, social studies, science, math, and world language, for a total of 5, which means you need 2 more credits of electives. Now, if that's choir or band, you're going to add that in here too. And then notice, so if I put in choir and that's 1 credit, and then I do marketing and that's 1 credit, I've gotten to 7, assuming I have a world language. If I pick 4 semester-long classes that are each 0.5, then I need to put 4 classes in here to get to 7 credits. You don't have to fill up every one of these lines, though. You fill it up until you get to 7. And then what you have in this top box, from English down to electives, is your perfect schedule. If you could have it your way, these are the 7 classes you would have next year. When you scroll down a bit or look at the bottom of your sheet, you're going to see the alternates box. This can be difficult, but we require that you pick 6 alternates so that we have something to work with. And then you pick 6 alternates that you would be okay being scheduled into. Okay, so that's when the curriculum guide comes back in. If you're looking at the back of the course sheet, you're going to see everything broken down by department with the grade level that's allowed to take a class and the credit value. And then to the right of that, T for teacher approval, P for prerequisite, A for application. So make note of those. If you're reading a class, you're not sure what the prerequisite is, or you're not sure what the class is about, that's when you come back to the curriculum guide and look it up. Every year, we have students come to us who say, oh my gosh, I'm 3 days into this class. It's not what I expected. You have to get me out, but we can't. Okay, so when you say, I didn't know it was going to have X, Y, and Z in there, then did you read the course description? Because it's important that you've gotten that information ahead of time. What we do with this information that you've given us up top is built a master schedule based on those requests. So come August, when you say, I don't want this class, I want a different class, we don't have the flexibility to do that because we've built a really tight master schedule based on what almost 2,000 people have told us that they want. So it's not, we're not out to get you when we say no. We're not out to get you when we have to use your alternates. We only do that out of pure necessity. So back to alternates, we come down to your alternate sheet when, for whatever reason, the computer has had an issue with your top 7 up here. So let's say a class filled up. Let's say there's only one section of a class and it's conflicting with some other class that you're taking. Then we pull course sheets, we look at alternates, and we work our way down. So it is important that you rank order your alternates so that we can start at the top and try to get you your next best option. When you're filling out your alternates, you need to pick 6 unique classes. Every year I see some students who write 4 classes up here as their first choice, and then I don't know if they were confused or just really wanted those classes, but their first 4 alternates were just repeated from the top, and that doesn't help me. Now I'm jumping down to number 5 and number 6 to try to help. If you leave it blank, then we're left to pick for you. And we don't want to do that. We'll try to pick a class that we think you might like, but we don't know each and every person's tastes and dislikes, so we can't do a great job at that every time. We prefer not to have to do that. And then also note, if you're picking an alternate and it requires a teacher signature, you do need to get that over here so that if I'm coming to your alternates and I see you've picked a class that has a teacher signature, that you have in fact gotten that. Don't write any classes, whether it's up top or down below, that you've already taken, because you can't repeat a class that you've earned credit for, and make sure that they're unique from each other, from up top and down below. Speaking of repeating classes, so this might be where you write a class that you didn't pass first semester of 9th grade. If you choose to repeat that next year here in this building, you can do that. Your other options would be to take it in summer school, which is online, credit recovery, but it costs money. So there's some pros and some cons to weigh for how to recoup that credit that you lost. And you're really only needing to do that if you failed one of these graduation requirements: math, science, English, social studies. Other classes, you don't need to repeat until we find ourselves kind of deeper in a hole, which hopefully we don't. When you're done filling this out, take a picture of it, because you do turn it in and you don't get it back. We keep it on file in our offices, so if it's something that you want a copy of, you need to make a copy of it or take a picture of it. You're going to get it signed, sign it yourself, and then include the student phone number. This is handy for when we're working into the summer on schedules. If we have a question, we can reach you since you're not in the building, and also obviously with remote students so that we can reach you quickly. I also want to point out on the back side of your course sheet, we've listed the graduation requirements on the bottom right corner. If you haven't taken health or PE yet this year, that might be something you put in your elective box, and then I'll talk about BPA next. So as a reminder, health is a graduation requirement. Everybody needs a semester of health to graduate high school. And then PE, you have 3 different ways to get that, technically 4. So you either take the class, which is PE, Intro to Fitness. You are a 3-season athlete at Heartland High School, so it has to be a Heartland sport through MSHAA. I think I said that backwards. So it can't be a club or a travel sport that you play. It can be 3 different sports, it can be the same sport, and it can be any level, freshman, JV, varsity. So it's 3 seasons of any sport at Heartland High School, or 3 years of band camp for band students. Your other option would be to test out, but that can be complicated too. So those are your options for PE. So if you haven't gotten those done yet, I recommend it. If you thought you were going to be an athlete, but now you're not, you want to get PE out of the way. This one PE class, PE Intro to Fitness, is the only one that satisfies the graduation requirement. And so you might find yourself in 11th or 12th grade not having satisfied this requirement, wishing to take one of these elective classes that has more upperclassmen in it, but that's not going to count. You're going to have to take PE Intro to Fitness, which is going to be mostly 9th graders. You don't want to find yourself as an upperclassman in that class. Okay, I'm going to come back to the website to go over some of the other links that we have here. Online scheduling instruction sheet. This is how you will go into Student Connect and load your course requests into the computer. Make sure that you're doing this carefully so that you have like English 10A and English 10B. Make sure that you're matching that course number with the right class that you're picking. Make sure that it adds up to 7 credits. Do not load your alternates into Student Connect, and then this step is done. Make sure that you hit submit at the end though, or else they aren't saved. Then I want to point out our VPA sheet. Everybody needs 1 credit of visual performing applied arts to graduate. And so these are all the classes at Heartland High School that satisfy the VPA requirement. A lot of students get their 1 credit of VPA without necessarily going out of their way to select these classes. They've just picked classes that they think they will enjoy, and in the process, they've satisfied VPA. So look this over, but don't stress about it. Some of you may finish your VPA in 9th grade. Some of you may see some classes here that are for upperclassmen that you plan to take, and that's fine. Just keep this in the back of your mind. One of the things your counselors do every year is a credit check to make sure that you're on track with all of your graduation requirements. VPA is one of those things we'll track. So really for my kids, like I don't start saying like, hey, you need to make sure you're picking a VPA until we're going into like 11th or 12th grade. If it hasn't happened naturally by then it's important that you do it. So that's the VPA requirement. Here you'll see some shared time information, which I'll go over in a second in the curriculum guide. Online course information, if you are interested in taking an online course or 2 through Michigan Virtual as part of your Heartland High School schedule, this has always been something that Heartland students can do. You can click that course catalog and look at the classes Michigan Virtual offers. If that appeals to you, bring it up to your counselor when you meet in February, and we can kind of go over the process for that. AP and blended parent agreements will be something that we go over when we meet too, if you're taking an AP course. 10th graders don't have any blended options, so that won't apply to you just yet. Okay, so I want to go over share time still, and I want to go over testing out. So on the left-hand side is a test out option in the menu. When you click this, it takes you to another page with important dates and information. You have to click this test out registration form and fill it out by March 17th if you hope to test out of a class in May. Okay, so this is the form that you click to register. You have to do that by March 17th. You'll be given study materials in April. You'll take the test on May 26th. The idea is that you take the final exam and do any of the final assignments required for a course. If you earn a 77% or better, then you get test out credit on your transcript. If you have questions about this, talk to your counselor. Come back to the scheduling page, and actually want to go to the curriculum guide. So one of the first, well, it is the first department that we have listed in the curriculum guide, shows you all of the shared time programs. So that's roughly page 30, 29 or 30. These are the different programs that 11th and 12th graders can take out of the county. It's important that you're thinking ahead so that if the class has a prerequisite, you're getting that out of the way. It's also important to make room in your 11th and 12th grade schedule for a program like this if it interests you. It can be hard to squeeze these in because they're 3 hours of your day if you haven't finished your world language or you haven't finished health or PE. So try to get those done if one of these interests you so that you've got the space for it in your schedule. So here's where you'll see each of the courses, and then when you scroll, you'll find the descriptions and any prerequisites that you might need. But back on the website under scheduling, we have additional course offerings. So this talks about some things that would be available to you in 11th and 12th grade. So just sort of like for your reference to peruse it and have this in the back of your head. Blended courses are taught by Heartland High School teachers, but they are mostly online. So students are in the building about 4 days a week, and 1 day a week they do report. Blended has been around for years and years. The possibilities lately are English 11 and English 12. So you can have that coming down the pipe in 11th and 12th grade. You might have heard of DEEP, which is a dual enrollment partnership with U of M Flint. This is just for seniors, and it's dual enrollment in these 4 specific categories. So if this is something that interests you, we'll have more DEEP information posted on the website once we receive it, as far as like what are the GPA requirements and prerequisites. And then this bottom box is everything about CTE, which includes the shared time programs that I was just talking about. So here's a nice concise list of the CTE programs offered at other high schools in the county. Some of them are hosted not at a high school, but like the cosmetology program is at the Brighton Institute of Cosmetology. Most of these though are in like Howell High School, Brighton High School, Fowlerville, stuff like that. So there's some information about that, and it's right next to the early middle college because, sorry about that. The early middle college is paired with a shared time program. And so if one of these pathways interests you and you see yourself going into this field, and the idea of doing a 13th year of high school, but finishing with a credential interests you, bring it up with your counselor to talk about. It's not something that you start just yet, but again, something to have in the back of your head. If this appeals to you, it'll be something that you apply for this time next year. The whole idea is that you do the shared time program in 11th grade. In 12th grade, you start taking college classes. Most of our seniors in the middle college don't even come into this building. They're just taking college courses. In their 13th year, they're just taking college classes. Again, it's dual enrollment. It's paid for by the district. And you get your diploma after that 13th year of high school, along with the credential that you've earned through the middle college. So we can go over details if that interests you. Let me make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Doesn't look like it. So your next steps are to finish your course sheet, get it filled out, get the signatures. You're going to put everything into Student Connect and turn this back into your English teacher by January 28th. If you are a remote student, you will be needing to return this to the building by January 28th. So if you can stick that in the mail or make it a point to stop by the building and drop something off with security, they'll get it to us. If between now and between now and the end of the year, there is something on your course sheet that you hope to change, you are welcome to do that. Stop by and see us in our office, send us an email, give us a call and say, I put this on my sheet, I've changed my mind, I want to put something else on there instead. You are free to make changes until the last day of school this year. But then, like, we're locked and loaded, and come August, come September, come next December, you won't be able to make changes, okay, to your schedule. Now, ideally, you'd be able to make those by February. So the next step in the scheduling sequence will be an individual meeting with your counselor. So each year we do a credit check, and then we meet with you to say, yes, all the classes you've selected make sense. Do you have any questions? We kind of review your course selections, make sure everything makes sense for you. At that time, we'll check for teacher signatures. We'll double check applications to see if you've been approved for a class with an application. We make sure that everything in the computer looks accurate. That's going to happen in February based on your English class. If you're a remote student, we'll get you more information about how to go about having a meeting with your counselor. So that's coming up in February. In the meantime, back here, when you click counseling and come to our homepage, This is our alphabet breakdown. So you can see who your counselor is and you can reach out to us if you have questions. You can always call the counseling office and get patched back to our office if you want to speak over the phone. Our email addresses are all first and last name @heartlandschools.us. So we can be reached that way too. So let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be available to help you through this process. You've done it one time before, and this will get a little less confusing, I think, each year, hopefully, and we look forward to working with you through this. So we'll see you later. Bye.